The Philadelphia Eagles are an absolute hot mess. It looks like they either don't like their coach or they don't trust their quarterback. We'll talk about that here on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I love hearing that because it's true. It's your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen, and welcome to the Barbershop, the second of two NFL shows here on Locked On NFL, where we use the help of our esteemed co-hosts and the expertise of the local experts from around the Locked On Podcast Network that will help navigate us through some of the biggest stories going on in their respective markets. I'm Tony Wiggins. He is Matt Williamson. And we got a good show for you today. We're going to thank the everydayers for joining us each and every day. And shout out to them for making us their first listen each and every day. And if you're new, we'll welcome you in too and treat you just like an everydayer. We want to thank you for listening to Locked On NFL. And a reminder that you can follow our show and hear new episodes ad-free daily on Amazon Music. So go check that out. I also have to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets across the app. All right, let me navigate you through where me and Matt are going to end up. We're going to end up doing a whip around and a pick 'em. I haven't been so good at that lately, but we'll see if we can get a little bit better at it today. How do you fix it? And by that, I mean the Ravens and the Chargers, two teams that we had high hopes for that look like they got some serious problems already 5 or 6 weeks into the season. But first, we're going to start out with the Giants embarrassing the Eagles. And yesterday, Matt, you weren't here, but I did a show with Chris Carter. I said that Daboll was one step closer to his pink slip. And once again, I look like a striking genius. Every time I make a bold prediction like that, something goes the other way.
I love it. Who'd you say was closest to their pink slip? I'm sorry.
Brian Daboll.
Oh, yeah. And I'm still not that impressed. I don't want to go on a big rant, but I think I want to talk about the Eagles. I think they have some issues that are pretty clear. Daboll, to me, made me crazy. He's screaming at the doctor on the sideline about Dart being in the tent. I mean, like, what's the doctor supposed to do? I mean, the guy's going to miss one play. Yeah, I mean, he has to. He left the field. I'm kind of excited about the Giants, but Dart and Scatabo to me make me a little bit crazy. You know, like these two, Scatabo, it's okay because he's a running back, but they put themselves in harm's way at a ridiculous level. And the world is acting like these two are going to take the Giants back to Lawrence Taylor and Phil Simms land. And I think they're so far away from such things. Dart is good out of structure. I love how hard he plays. He has tools, but he doesn't play within structure at all. I mean, and a lot of it's my biases going back to his Mickey Mouse offense that he played in Mississippi. You know, that it's going to take some time to transfer from that. And he might be fine, but I just don't see him as the savior. I mean, he was 11 for 25 for under 200 yards, and he ran 13 times for 58. And yes, he has this cool eye black and thinks he's in Star Wars and plays hard and all that. And that's fine. He just seems so immature as a player.
It just doesn't seem sustainable.
Right.
We've seen it win before. He reminds me of Jim McMahon. And people,
that's a great one.
I'm telling you, that's what it reminds me of. And
yeah.
You don't know if it's sustainable. But for right now, just like Jeremy Lin, anything that happens in New York is going to get blown, especially if there's any kind of cult fixture that you can put to it, like with Scatabo and his name and his demeanor. He probably reminds people of a whole bunch of people that they see in Brooklyn and the Bronx every day, and they resonate with that.
Yeah.
And sometimes,
it's like Tommy Cutlets from a couple of years ago. It wasn't any good, you know, right?
Yeah. So you have to see, is this sustainable? We'll get to them in just a second.
I know.
I want to talk about Philly. Well, you know what? Since we just did it, let's hear from Patricia Traynor, because they did win the game, and we don't want to make it sound like this.
No. I feel like I'm bashing them, but I mean,
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give Patricia some love for the second day in a row, talking about the New York Giants.
All right. I'd like to believe in this coaching staff. I don't think they're bad. but the evidence is mounting against them. And quite honestly, I don't know what the answer is with this group. You know, do you fire Brian Dable? Does that solve anything?
See, I played the wrong clip, but we're going to leave it in there because what I wanted to actually do was say, Daboll, I saw my man George Foster, the former NFL lineman, this morning. He said, what was Daboll doing when he was talking to the doctor? He said he was chasing that pink slip. He was running away from that pink slip, trying to go. Because it's like when Russell Wilson got in the game, it was like, oh, hell no. We're going to lose if we keep him in there. We need to get this dude back. Who saves himself? Is it Daboll? Because it's like the old college thing where you play the hot freshman and then you go, we don't want to start his clock over again and give him a whole new staff to name. It'll be like him being a rookie all over again if you fire me, or Joe Shane. But how can you do it when the crowd is sitting there going crazy over both of these kids that Shane drafted?
Yeah, and I guess you probably just, I don't know. And the Giants get themselves in these kind of predicaments all the time. And there's 10 franchises in the league that make these same mistakes over and over and over. And I think the two of us are kind of old and wise in this business. And there's just organizations I don't trust to do the right thing. And this is one of them for those reasons. You know, like, I don't think Daboll's a great head coach. I think he's a pretty good schemer and all those things. But I probably would stick with him if he can continue to squeak out a few more games just for Dart's sake, you know?
Yeah. I just mentioned Russell Wilson. Russell has a funny career path. He won a Super Bowl, and his demeanor and everyone kind of started to lean into maybe he's going to the Hall of Fame and let Russ cook. And then all of a sudden, once the organization started believing that much in him, it's almost like the players around him were like, well, hold up. He ain't all that. I brought that up for this reason. I think that's the same thing going on in Philadelphia. I think Jalen Hurts won the championship, caught people by surprise, and now they're leaning into him to be something that he's not and treating him like he's a top 5 quarterback. That Cam Newton started a conversation of whether or not he was a franchise guy and all of this stuff, and we ain't going to get into it. But I will tell you this. I don't think the players on that team trust him. And I don't think they necessarily like their coach, because Philly is a GM-centric team. This is the second time they won a Super Bowl and then came back the next year. And it's like, what the hell happened? Here's my man LOU DIBIASE talking about the Eagles.
So I think a reality that we have to live with as Philadelphia Eagles fans, with the way this organization is built at the top, specifically at head coach and quarterback with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, those two are obviously elite at coaching, at playing quarterback. They have very specific elite traits that have allowed this football team to make 2 Super Bowls and win one in the last 3 years. But both of them also have clear weaknesses that when the team around them isn't as consistent, there is going to be more ups and downs in a season that there's more on Sirianni's shoulders. There's more on Jalen Hurts' shoulders. When the play caller is new, inexperienced, and not very good, when the run game is not very good, Jalen Hurts, he has ups and downs as a pocket passer. He's inconsistent as a passer. Nick Sirianni cannot call plays. When that happens, you're going to have seasons like this at times. I think they're
all right, man. I can't put my finger on it, but all I can tell you is this: this is the second time in about 7 or 8 years this has happened. They won the Super Bowl and then came back the very next year and act like they don't know how to play football.
Yep, and I'm not in the building, but I do have some strong feelings to add to what DiBiase just said here. Is Kellen Moore's gone? I think that is huge. I mean, that's the conduit between coach and quarterback, and the play calling and all that good stuff. I mean, on the field, but I also think behind the scenes. And Moore's done pretty well with Rattler and company in New Orleans. You know, I mean, I think he's drastically missed. I also think the team flat out isn't as good on either line of scrimmage, and that's how they've been built. That's been the foundation of their success, and that foundation isn't as strong. And I also think another thing, 2 things. First off, they have to be a run-first team. And they're just not dedicated enough to it or good enough at it at the moment. And therefore, you get Hurts playing left-handed and doing things that he shouldn't be doing. And the other thing that people don't talk about is this team has played a lot of football over the last couple of years. Those extra games in the postseason wear on Lane Johnson, and you know what I mean, and Dickerson, and these guys that play every snap. 22 games a year or whatever, and I think it's starting to show.
Yep, I think it is too. A couple of other teams have some warts. We're going to try to figure out if we can fix the Ravens and the Chargers. They're bad right now for different reasons. We'll discuss that in just a second here on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side recovered. If you need parts fast for a project, Supply House has next day delivery. Talk about a game changer. That is an absolute game changer, man. So join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and the dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people and real service. All right, a couple of teams that have been struggling as of late, the Chargers and the Ravens. The Ravens got off to, they had a tough schedule, right? And their season started out, they looked like a pretty good team that just lost some close games. Well, that's gone off the rails. Lamar Jackson is out. The defense is porous. And they need some leadership and need some pop. In comes C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I don't know how much that's going to help that situation. But I know he'll be physical, and he'll definitely shake things up. But Baltimore has some serious issues. We're going to listen to my man, Kevin Ostreicher. Of course, he joins us each and every Tuesday here. Talk about the Ravens situation and what tier he puts the Ravens in right now in terms of the outlook for the rest of the season.
I'm not mad, just disappointed. I'm Kevin Ostreicher, the host of Locked On Ravens. That's the tier I'm putting the Ravens in through the first 5 weeks of the 2025 NFL season. Baltimore's 1-4 right now, and this is from a team that had Super Bowl expectations coming into the season, had one of the best rosters in the league on paper, but of course you don't play the games on paper, you play them on the field, and Baltimore's looked outmatched in the majority of their games this season, and it's looked just like it hasn't been great from a vibe perspective either. Seems like guys might not be buying in, or the messaging might not be getting across. Right now, the Ravens have turned from one of the perennial Super Bowl contenders in the NFL to one of the laughingstocks of the league. And it's just a big change from what the expectations were. An honorable mention here is injury report or CVS receipt, because part of the reason why they're not performing well is because they are banged up all across the board. Lamar Jackson missed week 5 against the Texans. So did Kyle Hamilton. Now Madubuike is out for the season. There are so many guys that are banged up right now, but that is context. It's not an excuse. All teams deal with injuries. So the Ravens needed to turn it around quickly. And for more on the Ravens, be sure to check out the Locked On Ravens podcast and subscribe on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Listen, man, the Ravens were the team that one thing you didn't have to worry about them was them looking like who they are. You just was worried about if they could get over the hump and win it really mattered deep late in the playoffs. And could they get the monkey off their back from making critical mistakes at certain junctures? Now they're fighting to even look like themselves, man. It's almost like me looking in the mirror wondering where did my hairline go and where's all this gray come from? It's like I'm not the same and there's nothing I can do. What do you think Baltimore can do to try to change this back around?
I mean, here's the deal with them. I mean, Kevin mentioned, injuries are an excuse. Everyone deals with them. Let's be real, though. I mean, of their 10 most important players, last week they were probably missing 8 of them, and you got blown out by a Texans team. Now, their body language and their effort's not great either. I mean, that game looked over from the beginning, and that worries me. At least you'll get the players back. Now, I think everyone knows this part, though, is we're going to pick games later. I'm going to pick them to lose to the Rams, who I think are just a lot better than them right now. And is that just too big a hole to dig out of coming out of your bye? I think the answer is probably yes, because you almost have to run the table at that point. And that's just too much. That's just not how the NFL works. It's not like, oh, they'll just beat everybody, But I do think after the bye, they'll be much better, much healthier. But the thing no one seems to be talking about is even when they were healthy, both lines of scrimmage were bad.
Yeah, man.
And that's not getting any better. There's no chance of that.
No, I always tell people you can't fix your offensive line during the season. Offensive line has to be, as a matter of fact, outside of quarterback, offensive line is the most difficult thing to fix during the year because nobody's trading all pro tackles or Pro Bowl caliber tackles, and then they're not trading young tackles with potential.
Nobody's got an extra one.
No, ain't nobody got no extras. A lot of people ain't got none at all.
Right, right.
And then the interior lineman, who's
you know, you can get Cam Robinson, but I mean that's not going to do anything.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
He's going to put you in the same situation that you're in already. It's just that you just be trying a new guy and hope it works out because it's just a change of scenery. It's bad, man, and that'll allow us to transition to a team that actually did invest a lot in their offensive line. They did it the right way, and then both of those guys got hurt, right? Yeah. And now the running back is hurt with the Chargers. This is one that really hurts because the thing that I'll tell you about Harbaugh, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to let Drogi speak on what's going on first, and he's going to put them in a tier. And then I'll tell you the thing that I love about Harbaugh, but there's very, very little room for margin when you are the way he is. Check this out.
Injury report or CVS receipt, because the Chargers have a bunch of guys on injured reserve. This is David Drogemeyer of the Locked On Chargers podcast, and the injuries have piled up for the Bolts, especially on the offensive side. Before the season even started, they lost their star left tackle, Rashawn Slater, to a torn meniscus after signing a long-term contract extension, and then the injuries just exploded from there. They lost Najee Harris to a ruptured Achilles. They just put Amarian Hampton on IR with an ankle injury. Tackle Joe Alt has been out with an ankle injury. Mekhi Becton has been banged up. Will Dissly has been banged up. They're all pro returner. Darius Davis has missed a couple of games with a knee. And on defense, they have been without Khalil Mack for the last few weeks. Denzel Perriman's IR window just got opened up. Junior Colson has now been opened up. Even on special teams with their long snapper, Josh Harris. The Chargers have been hurt badly by the injury bug.
All right, so injuries are universally frowned upon, just like turnovers in the NFL. But for some teams, they're catastrophic, and let me explain. When they keep it close to the vest, when it's no frills, when it's just that I'm just going to line up and we're going to beat you, we're going to keep it simple. You cannot have turnovers when you're trying to have ball control. It just totally nukes everything that you're about. You might as well just pack it up and start over tomorrow. Like the Jaguars had 3 turnovers that they got from the 49ers, but the 49ers were still in the game because they're dynamic offensively and they can go and play with tempo and create things. The Chargers don't even want to play that way. They just want to put it in a phone booth, limit possessions. And when you're like that, you cannot give it away. And you also cannot be banged up. And because they're banged up, they're not able to push people around. And it just goes to the core of how they're built with physicality.
Yeah, 1,000%. And he listed a long list of injuries. Now, I'm not going to give him a hard time, but the defensive injuries really aren't different than any other team. You know, I mean, okay, you lost some dudes. Everybody's losing some dudes. It's not like you lost, Nick Bosa like the Niners did. I mean, okay. But just like we talked about a minute ago, I mean, the minute you lost Slater, the room for error on offensive line injuries is done. You know, it's over. You know, you invest in 2. There's not a pair of tackles I'd rather have in the league. If you gave me than Slater and Alt. And Alt going over the left side, he looked phenomenal, didn't miss a beat. At least he's not out for the year. Becton and the other guys keep falling left and right too. I mean, that to me is the root of all your problems. I mean, everything else I can live with. It's just normal stuff.
Yeah, they just had some poor luck when it comes to injuries this year, man. And if I had to tell you that we were going on FanDuel and FanDuel was going to tell us, all right, pick one of these teams that have the best chance of figuring this thing out and making a run for a wild card, because they ain't winning the divisions. Either one of them. The Steelers are way out in front, and they're going to stay out there. Which team of those two would you bet would have the best chance to turn it around?
That's a really tough call. Because I do like both coaches, the brothers. They just made a trade, coincidentally, strange. I hate the line of scrimmage issues that both teams are probably going to have going forward, but they both have quarterbacks, and I think they both have coaches. I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Yep.
Yeah, post-bye. Not this week against the Rams, but post-bye, they could be good.
I told Chris, all the front-running teams right now, they want the teams under them to keep winning. I mean, if you're Buffalo, you want New England to keep winning, because you know what? You might mess around and the Ravens sneak in as a 9-8, 7 seed.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And that is the last team you want to see in the first round of a playoff, especially when everybody's kind of written them off and forgotten about them. And if
I've been saying it's similar. I've been saying they could be the team nobody wants to play in the playoffs. You know,
like
they win 8 of their last 9, and you know,
like the wild card Packers that year, they went to the Super Bowl and played the Steelers. You remember, you just don't want that to happen, because anything can happen when you have talent, and they do have some people on that roster that can really play.
Let's keep them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, man, keep them out. We're gonna whip around the National Football League, and Matt is going to pick them. I have been doing a terrible job at it, so hopefully we can get better today here on Locked On NFL. In just a second. All right, man. Today's show is brought to you and sponsored by FanDuel. The NFL season is in full swing. We are now in week 6, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I'm telling you, man, it makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into stats and analytics and situations and all of that, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get yourself started with a $5 bet that can win you $300 in bonus bets. All right, there he is, my man Matt Williamson here with me, and we are about to run through some games. I'm glad we didn't do this yesterday, and I'd already be 0-1, but in fairness, I think everybody else probably would be too.
Yeah, I think.
Another London game, I believe, is in London this week. The Broncos, the fighting Bo Nixes, visit, or not really visit, they're both visiting, but they play the Jets. Aaron Glenn hasn't won a thing, and I think people think they might be the worst team in the league.
Yeah, I'm worried that Fields and Glenn are one and done, and I don't think this is going to help their cause at all against that defense.
Yeah, I don't think so either. You mentioned the Rams and the Ravens. You think the Rams are going to win it?
Yes, in a big way.
The Cowboys against those Panthers. Dave Canales got them at 2-3, trying to get to 500. You think they can do it?
I think this will be a fun shootout game, because I think every Dallas game is a fun shootout game. But I like Dallas to win this one too.
In a battle of former Eagles coordinators or coaches, the Arizona Cardinals and all of their stuff, and coaches yelling and screaming and pushing on people, go to face the fighting Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones, and the Colts. What you got?
Yeah, I think things are crumbling in Arizona too. And I think the Colts are, I'm very much a believer. Then they can win a lot of different ways. I think Colts win this one big.
Yeah, man, and I'm a big Monty Ossenfort fan, but things aren't really going the way I thought they would go with him as the GM. Okay, here we go. I'll be at this game in the press box. The Jaguars, coming off their big win against the Chiefs, they host the Seattle Seahawks, who are a big surprise to me as well. I'm
taking Seattle, Wig. And
come on, man! Why are you going to do that to me, man?
I know it's going to break your heart a little bit. I just can't see this. Makes no sense. This isn't analytical at all. It's a really difficult, long road trip. I just can't see the Jags being 5-1.
Yeah, I can see them being 5-1. Okay. But I can tell you this: the emotions of that game Monday night for a young team.
Yeah,
you start to feel yourself. And even Liam Cohen said they were so fired up that early in the game when they got down 14-0, they were too jacked and they were trying to. So maybe all of that enthusiasm, I get it, NFL formula game, but I think the Jaguars are going to boat race the Seahawks. Ooh. Chargers at the Dolphins. We just talked about the Chargers, and look at Miami ain't that much better, but what you got?
I'll take the Chargers, but I think Miami's offense is getting undersold a little bit. They're a bad football team, but they do move the ball.
They do move the ball, and for some reason, Justin Herbert doesn't play well on the East Coast to me. I've been saying that for years, man. He just gets into these funks, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. All right, the Browns and the Steelers. This looks like a bad game on paper, but when it comes to these two teams, I remember Jameis Winston just a couple of years ago. I never, ever, ever, ever assumed that Pittsburgh's just going to win.
No, I don't either. And I think it's going to be a close game. And I think the Browns defense is really, really good. And as you can imagine, I've dug so deep into this game. I think they'll run the ball and play defense. But I think the Steelers win a close one. The Browns haven't won here, Wig, in the regular season since 2003. So all those games you remember where the Browns squeak one out, they're almost always like Thursday night on the road in Cleveland.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
Dudes hitting each other with helmets and all kinds of stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
The Patriots, they're 3-2. I don't know if y'all watching. Everybody paying attention to Stephon Diggs and what he got going on off the field. They're 3-2 under Mike Vrabel, but they visit the Saints, who coached by Kellen Moore, that dude you just mentioned. And the Saints have played. They're 1-4, man, but they have played hard this year.
Yeah, and I think the Patriots better be careful here because it's a little bit like the Jags, where when one of these teams takes a huge step forward in like a primetime game, you start smelling yourself a little and you think you're a little better than you are, and maybe you don't practice as well as you should, and then you go into New Orleans and you're in a dogfight that you don't want to be in. I'm still going to take the Patriots, but I would be scared if I were them.
I would too. I know who the Titans are. They won their game last week. We'll give them credit for that. But the
These
Raiders,
might be the worst two teams in the league.
Yeah, the Raiders, the Raiders, and it's all due respect to the Jets. We ain't trying to take y'all's crown away from you. Trust me, it's being horrible. But the Raiders, I just can't figure out who they are, what they are, and they just got a weird dynamic to them.
They do, and I don't think it's going to get any better. The Titans were gifted a win, though. I mean, if that dude can run over the goal line holding the football, we're clearly talking about them as the worst team in the league. I'm going to take Tennessee, though.
Yeah, I
like
you,
their quarterback.
Yeah, I didn't like the Geno signing when it happened, so maybe
it's been bad.
Yeah, it has been. When I tell you these two teams, you're going to be surprised that they're 8-2 combined. Maybe not one of them, but the other one. The 49ers at the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm a big Bucks believer. It sounds like Godwin's not going to play. That just came across my phone a little bit ago. But the Niners still have a lot of injuries. Tough place to play. Brutal road trip. There's some long road trips this week.
Yeah, and Chris Godwin's a good player. I ain't worried about the Bucks at wide receiver for some reason.
No.
They just got to. I even asked Chris Carter yesterday. Pittsburgh was on the clock when Igbokwe was sitting right there. Now you ain't got no. You don't have. Let me ask you. Do you have any? Dang it, man. When it comes to Igbokwe, he's good, man.
Oh, he's great. And I was actually at the Bucks Steelers joint practice watching him live, and was like, oh man, this guy is legit. I think every team should be. He's the offensive rookie of the year.
Joe Flacco, just in time to go and throw the ball to Jamar Chase. I know he's happy about that part. But Flacco is the type of dude that can show up on Wednesday and play on Sunday and beat you by 3 touchdowns. For some reason, it ain't going to last, but they go up to Green Bay.
Yeah, because he's a huge risk taker. And if he flips a coin 100 times and it comes up heads over and over and over, they can be in it. I just don't know how they protect him. Yeah, I mean, I think this is walking into a buzzsaw. Packers coming off a bye.
My fun on Sunday night won't end when the Jaguars are done and I'm done doing my post game, because this Lions and Chiefs game, I cannot wait for it. It's in Arrowhead. What you got?
I'm taking the Chiefs. I know that they're an underdog in this game, but at home, I think they're turning the corner on both sides of the ball. But the Lions don't really have any weaknesses right now. I mean,
I think the corners are banged up, and that might mean a big game for Xavier Worthy. So we'll have to see what happens with that. The Bills, is that a doubleheader on Monday? The Bills and the Falcons. This is a trap game for Buffalo, if you ask me, because Falcons can move the ball.
Yeah, I think both teams will put up points, and I think the Bills' D is very ordinary. I think they squeak one out. I don't think they drop 2 in a row, but this could be a lot closer than people think too.
And the second of 2 doubleheaders. This is fun only because I remember how the last time it ended when Chicago went to Washington. It was wild, man. Dudes out there celebrating, and he forgot to cover somebody, and Washington got the ball and won the game. What do you think happens with the Bears and the Commanders with those 2 second-year quarterbacks going head-to-head?
I'm going to take the upset and give the Bears some credit coming off a bye. I think they're turning some corner to quarterback head coach situation. If he can scheme things up for 2 weeks against this opponent, I think they can put a bunch of points up on both sides of the ball here.
Good measuring stick, too, for this reason, because Washington was the upstart team under a first-year regime last year, and now you're the Bears. That's who you are. So inherently you're in a situation where people will measure your success based on what they did last year. Sometimes that's right and wrong, but they're in your way. Even though they're not in your division, they're in your conference. They are a team that has a young quarterback just like you that people think is better than the guy you selected and all. They're in your way. This is a nice little incentive to go out there and get the job done. We get the job done here twice a day on Locked On NFL. Tyler Rowland wakes you up with a double shot of espresso early in the morning, and then I'll slide through in the barbershop right here in the middle of the day to keep you up to date on everything that's going around the NFL, constant news cycle, man. Make sure you check in on Locked On NFL wherever you get your podcast, and ad-free on Amazon Music. All right, for Matt Williamson, Tony Wiggins, we will see you next week. We do not take your time for granted. 30 minutes and about 40 seconds. I hope you guys had as much fun as we did. Y'all take care. Have a nice weekend and enjoy the action.